And here's the thing that I think sometimes business people and leaders lose sight of is that people have to like you.
Thousands of people screaming, Arnold, Arnold, Arnold. And when you visualize something very clearly, you believe that you 100% can get there.
5 Lessons from Arnold, which is a new documentary series about Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's on Netflix. It's really good, and so you should watch it. And after watching it, I was really impressed by his life. Obviously, he's an impressive person, having been, the world's, probably most prolific bodybuilder. Is prolific the right word, or is that just something you use for authors? I don't even know. But anyways, probably the most famous bodybuilder of all time, one of the most famous movie stars of all time, and then certainly, I would say, one of the most famous governors of all time. He kind of reached number 1 in 3 different fields in his life, which is very rare. And so it's an amazing series. You can learn a lot from Arnold's mindset, the way he views goals, the way he views work. His work ethic alone is impressive, but also a lot from his charm and charisma. So I'm gonna go over 5 lessons that I think we could all learn from Arnold. Number 1 is get gains from your pains. So he talks about his childhood. Arnold, in the documentary, he seems to be too tough to call it trauma or too tough to call it abuse. But from what you learn about his childhood, he certainly seems to have had some trauma from parents who were honestly just too intense and too rough because they were dealing with their own trauma from World War II. And so that part of the documentary is really interesting, and Arnold goes over really comparing himself to his brother who ended up dying in a drunk driving accident. And he says, I took my pain and I used it as fuel for my life, whereas my brother kind of turned into an alcoholic and ended up dying because of the same pain that we both had. And so from Arnold, we learned that you can take the pain that happened in your life and get gains from it, right? Actually gain from the pain, learn from it, use it as fuel to move your life forward. So I think right from the beginning, you're gonna learn a lot about Arnold's early life, and there's some amazing principles and lessons there. The next thing that you're gonna realize about Arnold is that, and he talks about this as well, and it's something that I relate to and talk about all the time, is that goals are not finish lines, they are milestones. So if anybody that knows me here at ResiBrands, we've got 30 plus people on staff. We have 50 plus franchisees. We have multiple brands now we'll probably do about $30 million in revenue this year. And as we're growing, we always set goals. And I think one of the things that bothers people about me sometimes is that I'm never happy with any goal. And it's because I don't see goals as a finish line. So I don't celebrate the way you would when you cross the finish line. I see goals as milestones, and I kind of celebrate very briefly that, whoa, we passed that milestone. Awesome. On to the next one. And but Arnold's the same way. So every goal that he set for himself, he really just viewed it as a milestone. And the minute that he became Mr. Universe, well, it's like, all right, now I want to be Mr. Olympia, right? And so now that I've made a movie, I want to be the number 1 movie star in the world. And eventually he got bored with making movies, so he's like, I want to be the governor of California. I don't know if that's good or not. I'm not very good at accents. But what I am hopefully helping you here with is realizing that goals are not finish lines. You should have goals, hit those goals, and set new goals, and view your goals rather than finish lines as milestones. Third, charm and charisma matter. What you can tell about Arnold, as intense as he was, and as hard of a worker as he was, he also has this sort of like friendly, almost childlike attitude towards some things, which I think adds a lot of charm and charisma to what he does. And so when he says, I'm going to be number 1 in this, or I want to, be in the biggest blockbusters in Hollywood, or I want to be governor, there's this charm where you almost, no matter what he says, you want to root for him. And here's the thing that I think sometimes business people and leaders lose sight of is that people have to like you. Like your team has to like you. Your fans have to like you. And you don't want to be a people pleaser, and you don't want to do things just to make people like you, but to go all the way to the other end where you think it doesn't matter at all is also going to hurt you. Because at the end of the day, you need people who want to help you reach your goals. You need people who actually like you enough to work with you and help you achieve the things you want to achieve. Which brings me to number 4, which is no one is self-made. So at the end of the documentary, Arnold makes a really big point. He's like, you can call me Arnie, you can call me Schnitzel, you can call me whatever you want, just never call me self-made. And in that last bit, he talks about some of the people in his life who really helped him become who he was. Some of them were trainers or people who made introductions for him, or some of his closest friends. But what he says is, I'm not self-made. There is no such thing as a self-made man. I think we all know that, right? Like, none of us created ourselves. We have a creator. But more than that, in our lives and the lives we build, you cannot do everything by yourself. There is no self-made man. There's no one who reaches a high level of success and who truly did it all on their own. You need coaches, you need mentors, you need supporters, you need a team, you need people who are rooting for you, helping you, coaching you, people who are alongside you, running the same path with you. You even need competitors, because competitors make you better. You need people in your life to make you who you are. So nobody is truly self-made, and it shouldn't even be a goal of yours. Like, you should not have the goal to be a self-made man. You should have the goal to be somebody who does amazing things but has other people with you. And that kind of brings me to the last thing that I learned, which is number 5. You need to make sure that you don't end your life alone. One of the saddest parts about Arnold is that along his journey of all of these amazing successes, his marriage falls apart. And he still has a great relationship with his kids, and you see that, but he is, for this whole documentary where he's talking, he's alone in his giant home with some donkeys and miniature horses that he has. He does seem a little bit lonely at the end of his life when he's 75 years old. So you need to protect your family. You need to protect those things that are really close to you. You need to protect those relationships, those people who made you who you are, those people who invested in you, those people you trust. Protect those relationships and don't lose it. Just because, in the same way that you don't want to be a self-made man, you also don't want to be an alone man at the end of your life. You want people who love you and care for you and go the whole way with you. And so those are 5 lessons that I learned from watching the Netflix series, documentary series on Arnold's life. I highly recommend that you watch it. Share, comment, anything that you liked about that documentary and any lessons that you learned. I'd love to hear from you in the comments.